Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and while it is true that the evil orange man did in fact win the presidential election of 2024, and he won largely running on the immigration issue, the idea that this issue is won, that the battle is over, is not actually true, because what we're starting to see is all these different lefty groups and the illegal migrants themselves coalesce and make promises to fight back against the orange man's deportation forces. And in addition to that, you also have a bunch of local governments essentially setting aside money in order to engage the administration in endless legal battles in order to prevent these deportations from occurring. So that's what we're going to talk about today. These migrants that came to this country illegally, saying that they're refusing to leave, and maybe, just maybe, what the orange man can do in response to that in order to put the pressure on these governments and these organizations that are protecting said migrants. Now, we're going to get into this. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And hundreds of immigration advocates rallying against the next commander-in-chief. Many say they're concerned about the president-elect's plan, deportation plan, once he takes office. News 4's Brittany Miller explains.
Trump, escucha, estamos en la lucha. Steps away from the Trump International Hotel, you could hear the cries of New York immigrants and allies.
So shortly after the election results were confirmed and the evil orange man won, you saw groups of people, including these illegal migrants themselves, the asylum fraudsters, protesting outside of Trump Tower in locations like New York and other Trump properties in other sanctuary cities across the country. Now, call me crazy, call me somebody who's just an innovative thinker, if you will, but if I were looking for people to deport from the country, asylum fraudsters and whatnot, then maybe, just maybe, I would look no further than the people who show up to these protests, say that they're illegal immigrants, and that they're not going back to their home country. This seems like an ideal place to find the people that you're looking for, but the fact of the matter is, this protest already, and all these different organizations already promising to pledge money in order to sue the Trump administration, is going to show us exactly how much resolve the current admin has, because essentially it's going to be a dogfight to get any of these people out there, and make no mistake about it, they're going to spend time, money, and resources protecting the criminal migrants that are committing additional crimes while in this country.
We know that our immigrant communities in particular are going to be under attack, and we want just a message loud and clear that immigrants will be protected.
Protected from President-elect Donald Trump's promise of mass deportation.
A lot of immigrant New Yorkers are afraid of the threat of mass deportations, and it's not just undocumented people. Families have mixed status.
Trump, hear us. We are here and not leaving.
We're going to resist, right? And one key way that we're going to resist is we're going to demand that our city and our state step up for immigrant communities.
So there you have the pledges from people on the streets of the city of New York. You have somebody holding what looks like the trans's flag saying, Trump, hear us, we are not leaving. And then you have this other individual saying that they're going to resist, and we're going to demand that our city and our states are going to resist. Now, I will just point out something that should be abundantly clear for everybody out there in the audience, but New York City and New York State, no sanctuary city and no sanctuary state, belongs to these illegal migrants. They do not have a right to be here. Many of them, especially the more recent waves, are defrauding the asylum system, and it's ridiculous that we can't ever have a reasonable discussion related to immigration policy, because on the one hand, you have these organizations that fight deportation for everyone tooth and nail, and when you're in that predicament, you never even get to the point where you can have a conversation on what you want to do with the long-term illegal migrants, the people who are productive in our society, who have been here for years, decades, and what you want to do with those individuals and their children. Unfortunately, we're limited to discussing the, oh my god, it's evil, white, and racism topic when we talk about deporting criminals and asylum fraudsters, and this is why it's just going to be such a pain in the ass in order to deal with this. However, there is hope, at least for New York City, because the president seems to have a decent relationship with Mayor Eric Adams, and it seems like Eric Adams is willing to help him in getting rid of some of these people due to the fact that these migrants are costing the city of New York a lot of money, and he feels like his popularity is decreasing exponentially due to the fact that they're providing them all these different services.
Trump's pick for border czar, Tom Homan, promises to carry out his mass deportation plan with or without the cooperation of so-called sanctuary cities.
We'll know who we're going to arrest, where we're most likely to find them based on numerous investigative processes.
Tuesday, Mayor Eric Adams said he plans to reach out to the incoming administration.
The city rules are clear. No city resources can be used to cooperate or collaborate with ICE. I think that should be modified. And I think it should be changed.
In an interview this week, Homan said if sanctuary cities like New York don't help the federal government's deportation efforts, then he may double the number of immigration or ICE agents that are sent here.
Now, I know a lot of people are saying that Tom Homan is going to do the right thing. He's a fighter. He cares about that issue. And this is 100% true. But let us not forget that this is somebody who was in the Trump administration before. And Trump basically got bullied off of his immigration positions pretty early on in the administration. And when all was said and done, he ended up deporting less people than Barack Obama. And this is one of the maddening things, is that Trump will run super harsh on immigration. He'll run on closing the border, revoking these visas, and all these different other various things. However, when he tries to do certain things, he'll end up getting blocked, and then eventually he'll stop trying. By contrast, Joe Biden, say whatever you want about him, ran on the idea that he was going to have people surge to the border, the asylum fraudsters, because that's who we are.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
And that's exactly what happened during his administration. In fact, he ended up putting Kamala Harris in charge of the border situation, and she also had a ridiculously insane position of her own during the Democratic primaries. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be a battle. These migrants look like they're going to take advantage of all the different legal gamesmanship maneuvers that you can do when fighting out these immigration cases. And it seems like 4 years might not be enough time unless the Trump administration is going to do something drastic, like cut off federal funding in other areas to these sanctuary cities that continue to defy the laws of the federal government, that continue to make it difficult to enforce laws at the federal government level in terms of immigration.
We're going to resist, right? And one key way that we're going to resist is we're going to demand that our city and our state step up for immigrant communities.
Co-executive director of Make the Road New York, Theo Oshiro, says that means making sure they have access to legal services.
Now, right there, you hear that activist, the one who's talking about resisting and whatnot, who demands the city and state of New York assist in the resistance to the evil orange man. And what he counts as helping out the resistance is not the sanctuary city policies that currently exist that basically have the police and have the jails release these illegal migrants before Homeland Security can come and pick them up. But it also is that one step further, which means that he thinks that we should provide them free legal services in order to fight their immigration cases, thus shifting more of the burden of these illegal immigrants onto the New York City and New York State taxpayer, which is ridiculous. And by the way, it is pointed out in this segment that Trump gained a lot of ground among Latino voters, and you have all these different activists that say that they're heartbroken about that.
On the flip side, more Latino voters supported Trump in this year's election. According to NBC exit polls, 46% of Latinos voted for him in 2024 compared to 32% in 2020.
I am Latina. I am heartbroken to see so many people voting for Trump and to see them essentially abandon immigrant communities. But I also understand that people are searching for solutions.
And one of the reasons why the Latinos have moved so far in the direction of Trump, first and foremost, you have the issue of the economy, but specifically Latinos in places that have been flooded with immigrants, look at those border counties in the state of Texas, is because these illegal immigrants end up competing with them. When they commit crimes, they commit crimes in their neighborhoods. These Latinos that are voting are already American citizens, and this idea that Latinos need to bend the knee constantly and obey the Democrats on immigration policy has not been proven out by the facts for decades, despite the fact that for a very long time, people in both parties believed that immigration was the sole key in order to win over these voters. It turns out that going harsh on immigration, trying to protect the jobs of Latino Americans from competition from illegal immigrants, was a better path forward, and that just makes perfect sense when you think about the fact that, again, if you're voting, you are a citizen. On top of that, Latino men did vote for Trump more so than Latino women, and this makes a lot of sense because they're more likely to do physically demanding jobs that can be taken by immigrants that oftentimes companies and small businesses would rather hire illegal immigrants under the table for. So when you add up the numbers, when you realize what's actually going on and who's the most impacted, it should not be surprising that Latinos voted for Trump in ever-increasing numbers. Latino males voted a majority for Trump, and Latinos on the border counties that are being flooded by illegal immigrants overwhelmingly even further flipped for the evil orange man.
We need to mobilize and organize like we never did before.
In his first rally since the election, Reverend Al Sharpton discussed the dangers of mass deportation and delivered a message of hope.
You can pass whatever bill you want. We ain't going back. You can come whatever policy you want. We ain't going back.
And this rally here is just the beginning. Reverend Al Sharpton says he's going to bring the National Action Network to D.C. in January.
So, of course, they drag out Al Sharpton, who was bribed by the Kamala Harris campaign, received $500,000 to his National Action Network to talk about how they're not going back, they're not going to let these people get deported, and all of that. And this just goes to show you that Al Sharpton is just a race hustler for his own benefit. Because when you go to the city like the city of Chicago, or you go to any of these little city hall or town hall meetings, what you end up seeing time and time again is regular, ordinary, working black people are some of the people that are the most angry about these migrants being flooded into their city. And by the way, this is the credit that Greg Abbott definitely deserved, because it was absolutely masterful to send these people over to the sanctuary cities, because for the first time in a very long time, people realized that the crisis at the border was in fact real once it was dropped off on their doorstep. And it's all fine and dandy to be open to illegal migrants and to say that we could definitely afford to support them when you're not actually doing it. So yeah, they're going to rally the troops, they're going to fight back, they're going to try to bog down the Trump administration and all these different various legal challenges that they're doing, their protests and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, the evil orange man needs to strengthen his resolve, and he really does need to target criminals and asylum fraudsters first, so that when the left overreacts and tries to defend these people, you can hold up these people and their crimes as an example of why they shouldn't be in the country. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the Trump administration facing a whole host of challenges. Till next time.